Shalom and welcome back to another week of News Bytes. This week's newsletter is on resurrection power, and it is on Luke chapter 20, verses 27 through 47. Now, this newsletter was released during the first month around Passover, just for context, so you will hear some mention of Passover in here. Let's start the second paragraph. Readers may look at the theme graphic here and think, aren't we jumping the gun a little bit, getting into resurrection power right now? Isn't that more of a Passover season message? To that, I should say that resurrection power is indeed a great Passover theme and a great start to the new year. However, the reason we start the year with that focus is because it is so foundational we need it all the time, from the start of the year to its finish. Really, for the remnant, resurrection power must be like breathing. To us, resurrection power is life itself. Tonight at our live online meeting, we'll be looking into Luke 20, which includes the famous encounter Yeshua had with the Sadducees, those who denied that there is a resurrection, Luke 20:27. They had no hope in the resurrection, and that's why they were sad, you see. I don't write this, I just read it. I know, you've probably heard that one before, but that little joke can help you to remember what that group was all about. Actually, sad to say, the priesthood was largely drawn from the Sadducees. Much like the modern religious system today, academics who fancied themselves too educated, erudite, and sophisticated to take the scriptures as literal truth, in other words, fools with no faith, were the ones who thought themselves to be in charge of the spiritual lives of the masses. No wonder it didn't work out any better back then than it is working out now. The Sadducees came to Messiah with a dumb story designed to make the resurrection seem like an ignorant superstition of the masses, a mere myth to make the peasants feel better about their worthless lives. That Richard Dawkins sort of move. They thought they could embarrass Yeshua as he stammered to try and find an answer to the unanswerable. Of course, they were too puffed up and self-important to foresee how stupid he was about to make them look by giving them such a brilliant answer that they could never have foreseen it. We will be considering that answer at the meeting tonight, so I hope you will be there to consider that with us. What I'm seeing about this right now is how inconsistent these faithless pencil-head types can be. They often believe in concoctions of the human mind that require far more blind faith than anything the scriptures ask of us. This is more true than ever today. Such people are perfectly willing to believe that life spontaneously sprang of its own from the primordial slime, even though no one has ever seen such a thing and they cannot reproduce that event in the laboratory. Nevertheless, they assume it happened completely by chance millions of years ago. Somehow, the millions of years are supposed to make the impossible possible, another baseless assumption. After that absurd beginning, the story makes one huge leap of fancy after another, with mere chance, given the scientific-sounding name of natural selection, somehow creating and dividing off every type of living thing known to man, all in an orderly manner that can be laid out with the precision by the same pencil heads who tell us that we are stupid because we profess acceptance of an intelligent creator. Like the Sadducees, today's pencil heads think that the resurrection is impossible, and is a myth to make the ignorant feel better when coping with death. Of course, they have their own version of the afterlife with themselves as God. They call it Transhumanism, which means using technology to make those who can afford it something more than human to extend their lives and power indefinitely. An article in the Daily Mail explains how this vision of the pencil heads would impact the future. This is how the article begins. The science of transhumanism, how technology will lead to a new race of superintelligent immortal beings, if you can afford it. The development of biotechnology could end disease, aging, and even death. Humans may take on new forms through prosthetics or genetic engineering. Transhumanism is the idea that humans should transcend their natural state and limitations through the use of technology, but researchers caution that this could lead to a scenario where masses of people would be forced to serve the technologically superior Humanity 2.0. You might think transhumanism is science fiction, but the world's elite are spending billions trying to make it reality, and many of the changes society has already been reeling from are arising due to this effort. Right now, this is already negatively affecting your life in countless ways that are being deliberately hidden from your view. The lust of the elite for godlike power and even immortality will destroy the world, but for one thing they are not counting on: the return of the resurrected, immortal Messiah. He will deal with them, and they shall discover what power is all about. Yes, there is a creator of this world and everything on it, and the people in charge of the earth right now are pushing his patience to the limit. However, they have not caught him unawares. He foresaw all of this before the world began, and he had the answer from before the foundation of the world. The answer is the death and resurrection of his Son. There is power in that, not just for him, but also for us who believe and walk in his way. Yes, a sinister power is growing in the world, equipped with amazing technology and energized by demonic spirits. And that entire evil system hates God and hates us. Let us not be intimidated by that. We already have the power to face down this evil world system, which is far beyond even what the elite can imagine, and they have imagined a lot. By His grace, we have resurrection power. Now, what interested me was, well, basically the whole newsletter, but in particular the transhuman aspects, because he said here, transhumanism is the idea that humans should transcend their natural state and limitations through the use of technology. Which actually, when I did a Google search on transhumanism, I came across this article about the transhumanism revolution, oppression disguised as liberation, and it's written by someone named Libby Emmons. And basically what she writes is that transhumanism is an ideology which holds that humans must harness technological advancements to take an active, intelligent role in our own evolution and the evolution of our species. And she points out that transhumanism is inspired by the Darwinian theory of evolution, except it's human-directed, of course. And apparently, what the transhumanists believe is they want to take your brain and copy it and put it into basically a robotic brain, and then get rid of their body so that they can live on forever. Because what they think is the brain and body are separate, and that basically we're held back by our body, but we can live forever as long as we copy our brains. Except that that would separate us from the physical world, and we know that we have a spirit which is our life, because as we read in Genesis, Yahweh formed man from the dirt, but he breathed into his nostrils life. Your life doesn't come from your brain or your body. And but anyway, what Libby wrote is, this all seems far-fetched, and it should. But every great human innovation at inception has seemed far-fetched, and it shouldn't be surprising that we are finally applying technology to ourselves. So much of this is already possible or on the brink of becoming so. Mentally controlling artificial prosthetic limbs that are not connected to one's body, receiving text messages directly into one's brain, stem cell and mitochondrial DNA research towards life extension, 3D printable organs. As you've probably seen lately, Israel has developed a 3D heart that it was tiny, but they plan to print it for use in human bodies. Turing test passable chatbots, nanobots made of folded DNA strands designed to repair the body in minimally invasive ways, gene editing, and so many more examples. She sums up, but concerns we perceive to be on the fringes of culture or esoteric and only vaguely relevant to some distant future, are in fact part of a giant ideological redefinition of humanity. And she basically says that if we don't attend to these debates and their implications, then we're going to awaken one day to find that these developments have overtaken us and that it's too late to go back. And that's exactly what the scriptures say. You know, there's going to be a point where we can't go back, and that's when Yeshua is going to have to come back and basically clean house. Because the elite, they're always going to push the boundaries, and that's just sin nature. And near the end of this paragraph, she writes, "To be a mind without a body is to have no relationship to the physical world and no stake in it. If we perceive ourselves and others to be disembodied minds piloting meat machines, bodies of mere matter that do not matter, what horror will we be capable of inflicting on the bodies of others? When we renounce our humanity, we forget what it means to inflict pain and to suffer." And that's where the elite are going to reach. And they might have that kind of power, like Eliyahu quoted in the Daily Mail article, people being forced to serve the superior humanity 2.0. The scriptures say that we do have resurrection power. And in the meeting, Eliyahu has his testimony of a time where he had to call upon that resurrection power himself, because it is a power we can use today. So, without further ado, you can watch the video right here, like and subscribe, leave your comments below. Thanks.